in 1973, there was a decree or announcement that came from the Ministry of Interior that all of Hebrew Israelites, black Hebrews, would be deported from the land of Israel. When I was arrested, I really didn't really understand what was going on at the particular time, and consequently, what happened is that after they held us in the Book of Beer for almost 2 weeks, we were sent to court, and we saw Prince Keskiel who was there, and of course, we were happy to see him because we didn't really think none of our people in Dimona knew where we were because we hadn't talked to anybody for almost 2 weeks.
I was deported in 1973. I went to visit relatives, and so in 1973 I returned to the land in 1973, and so that was a problem. So actually, after I came back to the land again in 1978, naturally it was a situation at that point. There was so much deportation going on in Israel. I mean, they was deporting everybody. They was deporting fathers that were working on jobs, and they would go to work that evening and they wouldn't return home at night. I mean, it was quite a situation. I think Prince Akieza, he had gotten his check. He went to cash his check, and so he went to cash his check. And next thing we know, he was in New York. He went out and he only had on his sandals and work clothes.
And our first jail cell was beneath the ground. This was in a maximum. This was a maximum prison where they only put terrorists in these particular cells, and for the first 2 weeks we didn't even see daylight. They kept us in our rooms, and then after that they allowed us to go out of the room each day for a half an hour into the prison yard to walk around, exercise a little bit. After Bukabir, they said they were going to release us. They released us, and as we were leaving out of the prison in Bukabir, they rearrested us. They put us back into a prison vehicle and they drove us to Ramla. Now Ramla is right outside of Tel Aviv, and here we were sent to Ramla because usually when you were sent to Ramla, they were intending to deport you. It wasn't a good feeling to know that your father was deported, your husband was deported, your brother was deported, or your mother or your sister was deported. And you never knew if you were going to see them again, but you knew that whatever our spiritual leader instructed us to do, we were going to do it with all our heart, soul, and might.
Because they didn't allow us status, we decided to renounce our American citizenship so that we couldn't get deported. That was our strategy. Their strategy was to deport us. But if you didn't have American citizenship, then you couldn't get deported because you were stateless. Some of the saints went up to take their passports and renounce their American citizenship.
I was one of the first Hebrews that were arrested as we were going to the American embassy in Tel Aviv, because to stop the deportations we were relinquishing our American citizenship.
We realized that we had to do everything in our power so that we wouldn't be deported. And then to come up with an idea that turned out to be a blessing. That was to renounce our American citizenship. Then we become stateless. And once we're stateless, then naturally we couldn't be deported anywhere. We might be imprisoned or ostracized. I don't figure we could have been more ostracized in that particular year than we had been, because we were getting very bad negative press from everywhere. We had everything that was written about us was basically negative, and we could work on jobs, and maybe the employer would pay us, and maybe he wouldn't. We couldn't force him because we had no status at the time. So,
17 years old when the siege took place in the Yom Kippur War. It was right before the Yom Kippur War when the siege took place. They was arresting brothers, sisters, anybody they could catch. You couldn't even go to the chute. We would go to the chute the back way, and anywhere we went, we was told to make sure we had certain phone numbers, and so that we could communicate if we got arrested. And we always carried a poncho or you know, a little bag with some dates or some nuts or something in it. So if you got arrested, you'll have some cover when you was in jail. We just had to be real, real careful in our movements. So we tried to stay within the confines of, at that time we lived in the Shikun. So, and once you got into the Shikun, it's like you was on home ground, just like once you get into the Kifar, you know, home ground. So we were cool, we were all right, you know, as long as we were within our framework. But when we went out, that's when they would put their hands on. Brothers had to work. They went to work not knowing if they was going to be able to make it back home or not. But they worked anyway. As long as we stay together, then we strong. It's if once we get divided up, that's when you don't have any power.
One or 2 o'clock in the morning, we was asleep, and when they woke us up, we were surrounded all around where we was working at. We was surrounded with police, and they just picked us up in our night clothes. Didn't give us time to get dressed and nothing. Just said, "Come on and go with us." And when they picked us up, they took us to jail. They took us to Bukabear, and we sang and shouted all night long. They were the ones that picked us up and brought us upstairs. When he's going downstairs, I heard him say we would be leaving Bukabear in the morning, being deported. Next morning come, I was laying there, and the little windows where we was laying, the little windows was just about like that. I could see a little daylight. I said, "Hallelujah, thank God, we still here." I was so happy.
They didn't knock, they just bust in the door. And we were all laying there asleep. So when they bust in, it was very exciting. They just turned on the light all of a sudden. And we jumped up in the bed. Didn't know that I was going to the police station. Didn't have no idea where I was going. So they tied my hand like this and brought me on out of the house.
רחובות, פרדסים, בתי אריזה, קטיף ועבדות, פועלים שחורים, 46 גברים ונשים.